Do you know why Lord Baelish died? Oh, I imagine you've heard the tale already. Everyone has. They spread it like perfume, sickly sweet and cloying. Justice, honor, loyalty to the north, betrayal avenged, wolves howling for blood. All very poetic, very noble, the kind of story that makes small folk puff their chests with pride as they repeat it in taverns, as if they themselves had held the blade. Nonsense. Pretty words for simple minds, that's what the world thrives on, you know. Not truth, never truth, but stories wrapped up like sweetmeats, easier to swallow, easier to digest, and far less likely to choke you. Justice, loyalty, betrayal. Those words are banners, nothing more. They flutter in the wind. They look impressive from afar, but try to wrap yourself in one on a winter's night and see how warm it keeps you. Truth, my dear, is a different thing altogether. Truth is rarely dressed for company. It does not come with banners or songs. It does not whisper oaths or write itself into noble histories. Truth arrives bare, sharp, and unkind. And if you're wise, you'll never forget. It cuts. It cuts the proud. It cuts the foolish. And most of all, it cuts those who believe themselves cleverer than the blade. The so-called official tale is a comfort blanket. It tells the masses that honor triumphs, that oaths matter, that houses still cling to noble codes. Utter rot. People will clutch at anything that lets them sleep at night. And honor, oh, it's better than a warm fire to those who have none. But truth does not tuck you into bed. It wakes you. It shoves you into the cold and makes you stand barefoot on the stone. And truth does not care if you shiver. Ah, Littlefinger. Such a charming parasite, born in some windswept corner of the fingers, with no more claim to greatness than a fisherman's bastard. And yet he dreamed. How he dreamed. He saw the high lords swaggering in their castles, the golden lions and silver stags, the dragons on their coins, and he thought, why not me? He understood something most noble-born never will. Power is not inherited, it is stolen. And Baelish stole with skill. He crept through the cracks, whispered in ears, peddled his coin and his cunning. He made himself indispensable to those who despised him. He climbed every rung of the ladder he claimed chaos built. And for a time, it was almost beautiful, like watching a spider weave. Every strand precise, every tremor purposeful. A web so wide even kings stumble into it. But spiders forget. Webs can burn. For all his whispers, his perfect steps, Baelish forgot the simplest rule. When you play with wolves, you must never let them see your fangs. That was his great folly. Not his ambition, not even his treachery. No, those things the game demands. His folly was believing he alone had the wit to see beyond the curtain, believing no one else could notice the strings he pulled. Men like him climb quickly, that much is true. They find cracks in the walls, slips in the armor, and they slither through before anyone notices. But the higher they climb, the more they mistake the view for invincibility. They forget that the wind is sharpest at the top, and that one slip is all it takes to send them tumbling. Petyr Baelish was clever. Oh yes. But clever men often mistake themselves for immortal. And when you start to believe your shadow is taller than the room, you forget that shadows vanish when the light shifts. And the light, my dear, always shifts. The Starks. How often Southerners laugh at them. All that honor, all that loyalty, all those solemn words in the snow. They call it weakness. They call it naivety, but underneath the fur, the smiles, the stiff courtesy, there is steel. Steel you cannot bribe, cannot bed, cannot outwit. And Petyr Baelish, clever little man that he was, thought himself clever enough to manage wolves. He thought he could mold Sansa Stark into his perfect piece, his future queen, his little bird who sang only for him. He believed she would wear a crown forged by his ambition, rule a realm stitched together with his lies. There lies the greatest irony of Petyr Baelish's story. His so-called masterpiece, his prized creation, his little bird. That's what he called her, wasn't it? Sweet little bird, singing in her gilded cage. He fancied himself her keeper, her tutor, her sculptor, as if she were clay in his hands to be molded, or a trinket to be polished, until she shone only for him. Men like Baelish love to believe they are the great teachers of women. They preen at the thought, as though wisdom drips from their lips like honey, and the rest of us sit open-mouthed like starving chicks. But Sansa Stark was no bird. She was a wolf. And wolves remember. Oh, she suffered, I know she did. A girl brutalized, beaten, traded like coin between cruel men. But the thing about fire, dear, it hardens iron. Every torment became a lesson. From Cersei, she learned cruelty. From Tyrion, wit. From Baelish himself, treachery. While he whispered, she listened. While he plotted, she learned. He fancied himself the teacher, but she was the student who surpassed the master. And then, like all gamblers who think the deck is theirs alone, he grew greedy. He dared to play sister against sister. Sansa against Arya. Fire against ice. He believed he could stand between them, indispensable, the savior who kept the pack from tearing itself apart. But here is what Baelish never understood. Family is not court. It is not a council chamber, nor a throne room. Wolves may quarrel, may snap, may even draw blood. But let a predator circle, and they turn as one. He mistook loyalty for naivety. He mistook kindness for weakness. And so, the hunter found himself the prey. Do you remember it? The hall in Winterfell, heavy with silence. Baelish summoned like a lord expecting tribute, smirk curling, certain of his invincibility. He thought the accusations would fall on Arya. He thought Sansa would defend him. He thought, as always, he had spun the perfect web. But the web burned. Sansa turned her eyes on him, cool, calm, merciless, and she spoke the truth. Not his truth, not the truth he manufactured with whispers and forged letters, but the truth of what he had always been, a parasite, a traitor, a man who had orchestrated wars, betrayals, murders, all for his ladder. And then, the blade, no poison, no shadowed alley, no dagger in the night, just a public death, bare and sharp. His throat cut open while his eyes finally understood the truth. He had lost not to stronger men, but to the girl he once caged. Do I mourn him? Oh, don't be absurd. I admired him in a way. Ambitious, resourceful, entertaining. He could turn dust into gold with nothing but words. But he was, at the core, a gambler. And gamblers always believe the deck is theirs, until the final card shows otherwise. The game is merciless. It doesn't care how many ladders you've climbed, how many webs you've spun, how many crowns you've brushed with your fingertips. All it takes is one wrong step, and you fall. And Lord Baelish? He didn't just fall, he was pushed. Now why tell you all this? Because his story is not just his. It is a warning. Too many little lords and ambitious men think themselves clever. They think whispers and schemes will keep them safe. They think loyalty is for fools, and honor is for corpses. But wolves remember, and sooner or later, every Baelish meets their Sansa. Now, if you've enjoyed hearing me flay the memory of that conniving little man, do something useful for once. Like and subscribe, or don't, and end up as he did, bleeding out on the floor while cleverer people take your place.